but several factors undermine the thought process. First and foremost is that by the time of Ender's first few battles as the unknowing general of the Interplanetary Federation, a human victory is a nearly foregone conclusion. Nearly the whole bugger force is confined to their homeworld, and Ender alone manages to command 80 outdated ships to a complete destruction of the bugger homeworld, as tens of thousands of modern ships were at present still moving to it at relativistic speeds with weaponry that was exponentially greater than what Ender had, against a force of at least 5,000 bugger ships. Utter decimation would be a likely possibility for the defenders, even without the strategic genius of Ender. He never lost a single battle, no matter how thoroughly outmatched. An experienced strategian would probably do a decent job with equal forces. Even with a total loss for the third invasion, victory would still be hard fought for the insectoid aliens. Comparing the rate of the bugger hive mind, exclusively operated by few queens, with billions of humans, each with their own mind in regards to innovation, would be an unmissable victory for Earth. Faster ships that could outclass buggers would definitely arrive for a fourth invasion as the buggers started pushing back. The war would continue, even if the battle was lost. This, mean, this means that Graf might have not been an especially crucial part of the invasion, even if and lost, if an important one. However, an earthbound war of the kind that Peter proposed would be inevitably brutal, destructive, and could just as easily result in the total annihilation of humanity as a direct bugger assault. With heavily armed troops operating in World War II esque regiments consisting of likely millions of trained warriors, whole cities would be razed quickly and efficiently between hordes of soldiers. The new Warsaw Pact would expand, and second alliance would be formed, and mass chaos would ensue. As Peter himself stated, the foregone conclusion would be for the new Warsaw Pact, stretching from the Netherlands to Pakistan, to win after the decades long grueling war, and for the remaining populace of Earth to live on the throne of of a brutal dictatorship, their resources eliminated through decades of war. Considering the relative intensities of the starving dystopian future presented by a new Warsaw Pact victory and the tense stalemate offered by Graf not annihilating the buggers, Peter would definitely be more courageous to prevent an earthbound war than Graf to end his starbound war, even if only by a relatively small margin. Andrew Wiggins himself is a strong candidate for the position of the most courageous character in Ender's Game, fighting against the odds to secure his happiness and safety, persisting against the isolation he endures from Graf, and fighting against his tormentors, and ultimately obtaining a peaceful, safe life as the governor of the first colonized planet. It is a journey that takes him from a 6-year-old student to a commander of an army at the battle school, to the unwitting general of an entire army, to a planetary war, and to an ultimately lethal fight between him and Bonzo. It is easily seen that Ender is a serious contender for the title of most courageous character, and with good reason. However, Ender has a few certain flaws that make it improbable for him to be the most courageous character against Peter. The foremost argument against Ender is that he is as much the hapless pawn of fate as the virtuous warrior fighting against it. Arguably the most brilliant maneuver of Orson Scott Card on his writing of Ender's Game is his subversion of the classic hero's journey per se, and to ignore this would be to ignore the profound center that emanates some of his best literary decisions. Throughout the book, Ender is not the classic hero overcoming numerous obstacles to reach an end goal. He is a pawn in the grand scheme of the Bugger War. The book itself is not about Ender overcoming these physical obstacles. It is about Ender's forced maturity and the emotional resolve that it entails. He frequently ponders his situations that he is forced into, knowing that he is being used, molded into a perfect general, and dislikes it. The main conflict is resolving these emotional problems in the painful situation in which he is thrust into. He is constantly and consistently kept away from crews to achieve the Interplanetary Federation's goal. He never knows that every one of the troops he commands in the command school was actual people until the entirety of the fair invasion is over, which of course makes the action as courageous as playing any video game. Ender is certainly brilliant, but his age still ranges from 6 to 12 throughout the book. He's not a heroic knight slaying a metaphorical dragon. Ender's Knight would only truly overcome his dragon by compromising with it. The end of Ender's Game is not a mere deviation from a normal storyline that provides it with no satisfactory conclusion. It is the satisfactory conclusion in which the situation ends, though Ender can never truly be normal again. His life continues, furthermore cementing him as much more than a literary character. He becomes a fully dimensional character, and it creates an end to the coming of age story plot. In summary, Ender's Game is about the thoughts of Ender, how he adapts and overcomes his challenges, and how he tries to move on, despite its outer appearance as a quintessential generic plotline of a protagonist moving forward to defeat an antagonist. The ending demonstrates the conflict resolving, letting him move on after his years of pain and suffering. Ender's not the typical protagonist. He never becomes a larger than life figurehead, accepts his practice, and stays a normal human being. While Peter is exactly the opposite in that discipline. He aims for higher and higher heights of magnanimous greatness and eventually becomes the supreme ruler of the whole earth. Due to Ender's limitations as a intellectually gifted child rather than a stereotypical hero, his character is more like the average layman. He, despite acting courageously in the presence of danger, is an emotionally normal child. Enzo possesses the same inner courage as Peter. He, at the age of 8, overcomes his fear to fight Bonzo personally and eventually manages to kill him unintentionally, but he would not ever act on this when his ethics told him not to, in contrast to Peter, who has no such restrictions preventing him from tormenting his family. The difference in courage between Ender and Peter is seen intuitively and logically difficult to determine, owing to Ender and Peter being much the same as Griff and Peter are together, shadows to each other. Extremely different, extremely similar, except in regards to a few key character traits that put them at conflict. In this case, being solely empathy, though the key trait making Peter do his courageous deeds is not courage, but a lack of empathy. Courage not acted upon is not courageous. So that makes it so Peter technically has more courage presented overall. Thus, Peter's sociopathy directly influences him to be braver than Ender would be. Bravery is an omnipresent theme in Ender's Game, from Ender's persistence to Graf and Peter's ruthless manipulation. There are a multitude of characters in it that exhibit the features of courage, but ultimately, Peter Wiggins, hegemon of Earth, reigns supreme in his efforts. He, of course, is utterly, brutally sociopathic, but this does not in any way diminish from his schemes, where throughout his arduous struggle to bend the world to his whim, exhibits courageous behavior in every shape and form. It has been demonstrated that he is both the virtuous charismatic warrior previously described and the despotic tyrant in his application of courage. In comparison to all of the characters in the science fiction masterpiece, Peter is the most courageous character in Ender's Game.